My name is Jacob. I live in a one-bedroom apartment. My life is usually pretty quiet, till recently, that is. A few weeks ago, I started to experience strange happenings in my apartment. Lights were turning themselves off. I heard weird noises at night, and this was just the beginning of it. One night, I was getting into bed when I suddenly heard the sound of footsteps in my hallway. Mind you, my place is pretty small. The footsteps echoed like screams in a forest. The floor creaked intensely, and my heart raced, almost beating out of my chest. I slowly got out of bed and went to investigate the sounds. I peered around my door frame and into the hallway, looking both directions. There was nothing. That's when I caught it, just out of the corner of my eye. A faint white glow coming from my living room. I crept closer and closer to the source. Maybe I just left the TV on, I thought to myself. There in the middle of the living room was a faintly glowing orb of light. It defied all reason with its being just floating there. Just as I reached out to grab it, it disappeared into thin air. 2 nights later, I was watching TV when I suddenly heard one of my glasses fall out of the cabinet. I rushed to the kitchen to discover that the cupboard was wide open. I didn't own any pets, and I was sure I closed it earlier. I shrugged the incident off as I cleared up the glass. I later took a shower, and as I stepped out, I gasped at the sight of my mirror. There was a message written in the steaming reflection. It read, "Don't follow the light." What the hell? Broken glass was one thing. Footsteps in my hallway were another. But this? Somebody had to have broken into my home and was toying with me. I quickly darted to my room to grab the gun I kept locked up under the bed, and called the police. I searched the whole house, up and down, inside every closet, every little space. I found no trace of any other person being in the house. The police came, and it was the same results. I apologized to the officers for wasting their time and got ready for bed. It must have been 3 a.m. when I was awoken by the sound of my bedroom door opening. I popped up out from under the covers. "Hello?" I said with a shrill voice. "Who's there? Show yourself." There was nothing. No sound. Anything. I sat there for what must have been a good half an hour, scared, shaking. Suddenly, I saw that all too familiar light starting to reflect off the paint in the hallway. I was simply drawn to it. My body gave me no choice. I lunged towards the hallway. Upon entering, I started to see ghostly footprints on the floor. I couldn't control myself as my legs dragged me to the ever-illuminating light. Closer and closer, I approached against my will. Suddenly, I was snatched backwards, away from it. I regained control over myself and rushed back to my bedroom and and hid under the covers. I felt like a coward, but what could I possibly do? I had no idea what the hell was happening. Nothing happened to me that night, though I didn't get back to sleep again. In fact, I started to find it rather difficult to sleep at night. After that incident, I could barely even function. Always afraid, always waiting for that damned light to come back. Once more, I was asleep and was awoken by the sound of my door opening. No, not again, I thought to myself. Surprisingly, the sound of the door opening wasn't followed by anything. Only silence remained. I reluctantly went to the hallway to investigate the disturbance. There was nothing. No bright lights, no footsteps, no ghostly figures grabbing me, presumably trying to save me from the light. I was confused by all this. Was the light gone for good? Why did my door open this time? Suddenly, my living room TV roared to life with static. It flashed on and off loudly. Getting a close look, I could have sworn that I could make out words in the static. The more the TV flashed on and off, the more distinctive the words became. All I could make out was, "Leave it alone." Within a second of reading the words, the TV flashed off. I was once more left frozen in silence. A few seconds passed, and I began to see the glowing light come to life behind me. Somebody was trying to warn me about this thing, telling me not to go after it. Just as I was turning around, I saw the ghostly footprints quickly running towards the light. It collided with the ominous light, and a wave of energy imploded from the orb, turning it into a new red hue. It seemed even more malicious now. The energy coming from this damn thing felt evil. The presumed spirit started to scream and wail as the red light grew bigger and brighter. Covering my ears, I quickly got my shoes on and left the house immediately. To my surprise, the sounds stopped. I couldn't see the light from the outside. I decided this was the last straw. I would get real help. I called a local priest, and they told me they could be down there the next evening. The time came, and he arrived. "Thank you for coming." "It's my pleasure. Can you show me where the most problematic part of the house is?" "Of course." I led him to the living room. "Right here." "Ah, very good. I shall start immediately." He started his seance. There was no reactions to begin with. After several hours passed, I started to hear the familiar hum of the light slowly coming to life. "Mr. Jacob!" he exclaimed to me. I rushed to the living room and met his gaze as he pointed over to the light. "I've never in all my years experienced anything like this, Mr. Jacob." The orb of light, now permanently glowing red, started to warble and shake as the priest spoke to it. He splashed holy water on it, only seemingly pissing it off as it let out a loud growl. The priest started to walk towards it. "Don't!" I exclaimed. "I must cleanse this being in the name of the Lord." He touched it and was immediately cut off when the orb took hold of him and started to break his entire body. He began to scream uncontrollably. I dropped to the floor, closed my eyes, and covered my ears, just wanting this nightmare to be over with. Just then, I felt a less malicious presence brush past me and go towards the orb. I opened my eyes and was met with the sight of a woman in the form of a ghost. She turned towards me and seemingly waved me goodbye as she stepped into the orb. The light exploded, turning back to its original color as it began to fade away into nothingness. My breathing slowed down as I processed what I just witnessed. I breathed a sigh of relief as I got back on my feet. The light was finally gone. To this day, I still do not know who my true savior was, or who the other ghosts were, even the one who stepped into the light and exploded before. I don't think it's safe here anymore. I'm moving to a new place at the end of the week. I wanted to share my story with you, even though knowing some of you may be a little bit skeptical of the whole thing. All I can tell you is this: don't follow the light.